Hi everyone, welcome. I'm down here in my wormery and I've got an assortment of different frozen veggies here. Smells like cabbage. It's beginning to thaw out. And I see some carrot. So there's an assortment of things in here. That's going to be split between two worm bins that I'm feeding today. These are the red wigglers that I refer to as my original red wiggler worms. And last time we fed them, they got an assortment of banana, mango, but a half of a mango cut right through the seed, and kiwi. Each system was fed 3 delicious fruits, and I'm definitely curious to see how they're coming along with that stuff here. So for these systems, it's feeding number 19 going in today, if I'm not mistaken, on day 222, 222 days in service. And I'm already starting to see edge on. You can see where you cut right through the seed of the mango, and then the rest of the mango would have still been around it. Maybe that's kind of what we're seeing right there already. All that action going for that yummy fruit caused these top covering newspapers to get chewed up pretty good. And I don't remember if we had left some sort of a marker. Sometimes we mark where we last fed using a coffee filter, kind of like right there, I believe. So we must have left feeding zone indicators. In this case, in bin number 1, it's still kind of here around the edge of where it had been. Let's move this aside. Maybe we'll catch a glimpse of it. Sometimes it just attaches itself. It sticks a little bit to the top covering newspaper, and that's another place to look for it, but it is still resting here. But only tiny itsy bitsy pieces of it remain. So we took that mango, each got a half of one mango. The system that I checked yesterday, the system that I checked in on yesterday, had its mango presented to just a single bin. Got the entire mango, not cut in half. In fact, I don't even think the skin of the fruit was punctured, so they might have had to actually work their way through that before they can actually get at the yummy mango. And you know, what the heck, let's just dig in and see how they're doing there around that mango. Yeah, we must have had some old leftover pumpkin stems that we threw in here too at once upon a time, probably long ago. And we'll continue to see pumpkin stem for a long time going forward. It's almost certain. You're pretty much just putting a piece of wood in your system. So here's that half a mango with a lot of it remaining. A lot of the fruity matter clearly still out there for the worms to keep working on. Some of our little friends are in here doing just that. I was kind of expecting more of a mob scene, but perhaps the mob scene that we were expecting to see all over the food is actually in the material directly below the delicious fruit. This is just a huge pile of worms. And I'm not going to put it right in the middle of the screen because I worry about worms falling off and dropping down into the crack and onto the dry table. So let's keep them where they can fall if they need to, but they fall into a safe spot. All right, well, pretty good pile of worms right there. Just fell off my hand. And earlier on, this little pile of worms fell off my hand. So let's shove them aside. So then when we finally get to putting their food in, we don't have to drop a whole bunch of frozen stuff right on top of the wormies. This might be the kiwi. I don't know, I think somehow, I'm not sure, but I thought kiwi might be in the citrus category. Perhaps it's a little bit acidic or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't really give worms kiwi very frequently, or mango for that matter. But when you do, that mango seed, it sure sticks around. Oh, okay, yep. And here's fragment last. Mango, kiwi, and that's the peel of the banana we threw in there. And that, I believe, was actually not just the peel. I believe there was an actual entire banana just cut in half with the yumminess inside of it still, not just the peel. So I gave them that delicious fruity meal last time. All right, getting a little bit too into this. We should really try to pick up the pace here in bin number 2. It's fair to assume we're going to find a lot of the same, and that's pretty much what we're encountering already. At 222 days of age and the number of feedings approaching 20 at this point, there's only a couple systems, and usually, oh boy, okay. I cracked open the banana peel and there was just a whole bunch of worms inside of it. So yeah, I was about to talk about the other systems I have here in the wormery, in my wormery, that are a little bit older than this system here. In a lot of those cases, I'm already sort of setting the stage for the worms migrating out of their finished castings, and I do so by nudging all their newly added bedding and foods over the course of a few feedings into the just one edge of the bin. But it's sort of a foraging mindset I get into at this point, in terms of trying to see if we can get the worms to nip off what already exists rather than continuing to provide them with more and more new. And that's perhaps they like the mango more here than in the other system. So yeah, you know, why don't we take a break from all the chit chat and give these little guys a moment to settle in, and then we can think a little bit about how today's feeding should go in. So now, even though we've got nice trenches dug in both systems, my idea for altering their feeding pattern today was to not focus, I guess, not to have a particular feeding zone, but more to scatter the food throughout, so that they don't end up just mobbing one section. Perhaps they'll travel the entirety of the systems, working off leftover shredded paper cardboard that's all over the place. So it's kind of what I'm thinking here in terms of how to spread out today's stuff, which is just leafy stems and things like that, stuff that's probably going to get eaten 1, 2, 3. However, I guess just for these things that we're sort of tracking here, and since they're still in progress, we'll just return what remains of these older objects down low, and then we can start bringing in the new. But like I said, I think we're going to apply the new in a way that it's more all over the place, if you will. So the way I imagined that was just to kind of backfill what our feeding zone was with whatever. And I guess what I'm seeing a lot of out here is just a lot of castings. Not even as much of this scattered bedding material as what I thought we would see. All right, which is kind of nice. This also gives us a chance to see what the moisture level throughout the system is like, and it feels really good. So yeah, I figured sort of just out near the surface, covered up with the newspaper top covering, and just keeping it a little bit more inboard so that it's definitely got plastic covering. So I imagine that the top covering newspaper that we place right over the surface applied food is probably going to get chewed up pretty good. All right. Kind of like we saw when we came in here, you know, the sections directly covering where the bulk of the feeding activity was pretty much chewed away. This is, yeah, very firm and tough piece of seed of some, probably avocado. But some avocado seeds, for whatever reason, seem to take a really long time, very resistant to break down. Other ones seem to soften up and become brittle and can be broken easily pretty quickly, but not all of them, it seems. All right, on to giving them their yummy meal. So let's just see how much of it is just loose at the bottom of the container here, and then maybe we can see how it looks if we just fragmented apart a little bit. It looks like these little guys over here in bin number 2 get a nice little chunk of tomato too. Maybe there was only that one piece though, so it doesn't matter. The rest of it looks like cabbage, a couple little bits of carrot, but that's about it. So hopefully by doing it this way, we're going to get the worms to just remain spread out all over the place. Nothing's going to really draw them in, perhaps other than the mango, the pretty big chunk of mango that still exists down over here. Over here, it seemed like it was just the seed. Or did I just get them mixed up? I don't know. I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit of our crushed eggshell grit out here too. A little bit of it over there, and then when we bring it this top covering paper back, it does seem like even though the middle of it's been gobbled up in large part, there is a whole bunch of still sort of more durable paper over here in the form of the folded over sections. So all of a sudden, once we unfold those, we got all this paper to cover with. Okay. It's being a little resistant to me unfolding it. Well, I wouldn't say resistant. Perhaps it's better to say I'm just being clumsy. But with what we've just unfolded, we just very easily covered all the foods that were sprinkled out across the top surface with paper cover, almost all of it. And here again, I think bringing it inboard so that it's covered with the plastic is going to ensure that it's in a space that's nice and damp, you know, so it gets a good bit of worm activity. Unfortunately, sections that go a little bit dry probably see considerably less traffic. And with the covers that I'm using, you know, those pieces of bubble wrap, they're certainly not perfect in terms of covering all the way out to the edge. There's always a little bit of breathing room happening around the edges. Luckily, during my check-ins, we're pretty thorough to blend in anything that's been dried out on the surface, try to get that all mixed in, give everything that's in the system a chance at being broken down. Okay. Did I just take a great deal more time doing that than I should have? I wouldn't be surprised. So that brings us to the end of the video, everybody. The original red wiggler worms seeming to do really nice in here. Trying to see if we can kind of promote almost like a foraging activity, utilizing what old stuff has been in here versus giving them fresh new bedding to work down. And then in time, we'll probably be getting these little guys set up in a feeding that it starts to, you know, promote their movement out of their finished castings. Horizontal migration. Horizontal migration is kind of what I refer to it as. But that's for another day. Alright everyone, that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye now.